Hey guys, welcome. Tim and Kris, we are back after laying off a couple of weeks.
Yes,
you look like you've been laying out a couple of weeks. You got the scruff going. You got the.
I've been taking it easy. I just, I don't know.
Looks like you've been taking it easy on the hygiene. No offense, but
No, I smell pretty good. No, I mean, we do this on Monday, and so over the weekend, I just kind of took it easy, and we grilled out last night, and just did the stuff.
Do you do that now? Now you just kind of let yourself go on the weekends, and you're not too worried about your appearance.
No,
no offense.
Obviously, not. Obviously, I'm not worried about it at all. But yeah, it was a good week. How was your weekend, sir? You had a special event come up on the weekend.
You had to mention that, didn't you?
Well,
thanks a lot.
Well, we'll talk about that in a minute.
I had a good weekend. I had okay, fine. I had a birthday.
Happy birthday. See, I didn't know. As long as I've known you, I've never known when your birthday was.
Well, but it's because I don't tell anybody.
Right.
Believe it or not, I'm not one to attract attention to myself.
I try not to myself either.
That's why I have my face on the side of my car.
Exactly.
But,
this big.
Yeah. But, my grandson loves the face on the side of the car.
Oh, I bet he does.
But, it was, I try not to get caught up in birthdays. I never really celebrate them. Melissa and the kids, they always try to make a big deal of it.
Right.
But, it's just another day. I don't want anybody making a big deal over me. You know what I do? Because I'm real big on Facebook. I always go in and set my birthday like a week in the past, so it doesn't pop up, and I've got 5,000 people I don't know wishing me a happy birthday.
I got it.
And then you got to go in there and go, thank you. You know what I mean?
Thank you. I don't know you either.
Yeah, but here's the kicker, buddy. I turned 60.
Holy cow! You don't look a day over 58.
I don't feel a day over 58. That's the kind of sad thing. But yeah, the big 6-0, and you're a little bit older than me, not by a whole lot, but a little bit. So you've been there, done that, and that. You know what they say? There's speed bumps in life. Man, I hit a big one.
Yes, yes, you
weekend.
did. But be thankful that you can sit there and say that.
For my age. And by the way, that's one of the phrases that I now hate.
What?
You look pretty good for your age.
For your age, yeah.
You're in pretty good shape for your age.
Right.
That sex was
30,
okay for
crap.
your age. Yeah, I hear that a lot now.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of I'm a health nut gym rat because I honestly feel good. I've never had any health problems.
We'll be thankful for that.
I'm thankful for that. I don't feel any different than I did years ago.
Have you had any surgeries?
Never really had any. I've never had necessary surgeries. I've had some electives.
Please say you didn't get a facelift. You need your money back.
I got my lips plumped. No, I've never been in the hospital. Never been sick a day in my life. My mom lived to 92. My dad died at
92.
92.
I did not realize your mom was that old.
Yeah. Now, my dad died when he was 66, but he was a professional alcoholic smoker.
Right.
So I don't go by that, even though what really sucks, and this is what I hate about getting old more than anything.
Okay.
Is my dad? I was not a fan of my father, as everybody knows.
I realized that after.
But when I look in
the
mirror, I see that son of a bitch looking back at me, going, "Hi, son, how you doing?"
Yeah,
so
I remember your dad.
Yeah, he was a piece of work, but no,
And how old was he?
He was he's been gone 23 years.
Are you serious?
And he was 66. Here's the funny thing, going back, and we'll get off of this in a minute, but talking about old age, I can remember my dad was 32 when I was born. Okay, same age I was when Chelsea, my oldest daughter, was born, right?
Okay.
And I can remember when my dad hit 50, he'd walk around. He was just the biggest Debbie Downer anyway. Right. And he would go, "Well, I'm 50 now. I'm half 100. My life's half over." And I'm like, "You need to redo that math because you ain't gonna live to be 100." But that was it. I'm half 100. And so when you're a kid, I was 18. I'm like, Christ, I don't ever want to get that old. Right. Do you remember that?
Yes.
When you were young, you were like, when we were in our late teens, 20s, 40 seemed ancient.
Oh, that's unreal.
And 60 was just decrepit. And you made a good point. We were chatting earlier about it's different now. How people don't age like they used to back in the good old days. Because when you and I were teenagers, we look at pictures of our grandparents, and it was like, boy, there's no good old days. You know what I mean?
Well, like I said earlier, I was looking at pictures of my grandfather when he was my age. And, I mean, but, back then they worked in the fields. And it
was a hard life.
It was a hard life. And so it weathered on him. I mean, he was a handsome man.
Yeah.
That's where I get my looks. But he,
I was going to ask.
Bless his heart. But he, being that old and working that hard throughout his life, he was a good-looking guy, but he was pretty weathered. You can tell he'd been out in the field a lot.
Yeah, that's the way my grandfather.
I've never plowed once.
Not in the traditional sense. No,
not what we're talking about anyway.
But that's the way my grandfather was. But he never worked in the field. He was a well digger.
Oh, really?
And he actually died from injury sustained, having a little bit too much shine one night and falling in a well. He was digging.
I'm not made to laugh.
He got his work killed him basically. He got lit up and fell in a well.
Wow.
Actually, it wasn't a well. It was the hole that they were in the process of digging by hand.
How deep was that hole?
It was deep enough that it was probably 1.5 feet. He just kind of tripped over it. It was full of water and he drowned.
Damn it.
But I mean, back then, I mean, people, Sierra summed it. She goes, 60 is the new 40.
I agree with that.
Well, I think she's a good liar, my youngest daughter. But
I agree with that.
I think when you look at advances in medicine, although I don't really take any medicine, I've been really lucky. I've got really good genes on my mom's side. These are Levi Wranglers right here. Nice. These are Huskies.
Yeah.
remember Huskies? But yeah, just and I'm not fatalistic. I'm not worried about dying. I know I got another maybe good 20 years out of it. I'll just I do think a lot now about how do I want to live the next 20 years.
See,
you ever do that?
Yes, that's what we were talking about before we came in here. Is my wife and I were discussing this, and we agree. We're all playing in the fourth quarter, so let's.
Hell, I'm lost in the stadium, man. I don't know where I am.
And so it's time to start planning your future and everything. And Donna's on this RV kick. She wants to buy an RV.
Yeah, I think that's great.
Yeah, she wants to get an RV and we go camping.
Yeah,
I've never camped in my life.
You're gonna hate it. I
don't know, but the thing is like my parents had a lake house, and so we would go to the lake. We'd go to the lake house.
That's not camping. You're not in a tent in the woods.
That's not camping. Now Donna and her family had a pop up, and they had RVs where they would go to Yogi Bear.
You're freaking out the GoPro with that hand. Put that hand in your
lap.
It's going whoa whoa. So they had a campsite.
Yeah, they had a campsite. So they would go and they go places where they have like a pool and they'd camp and build a fire.
But traditionally camping is where you go out in the middle of the woods and you pitch a tent and you fish and you eat the fish. And I mean, to me, I would go camping if there was like a Best Western and a Red Lobster right next door. That's my But I can see because to me that sounds very relaxing. You get an RV, you travel around, you camp,
and you lock it down, and you get your little overhead
awning
thing, and then you get your chairs, and you sit there, and you sit down like this, and you go,
here we are.
All right, now what?
Well, that's the thing. A lot of folks
paid $50,000 for this.
Just so we could have been on the porch for free.
Exactly.
Yeah, but you just got sitting there watching the world go by. But see, that's the thing. I've never been a traveler. I haven't taken a vacation honestly in 30 years.
Really?
I don't vacation. Though Melissa and the kids go. The kids are grown now, but I've never.
You never went with them?
When the girls were younger, I would go. But I would sit in the hotel room in the air conditioner and work. I'm not a beach guy. I don't swim. I've got terrible. I'm deathly afraid of water.
Right. I remember that.
Yeah. So I don't know.
You don't even bathe.
Well, I take showers, but I don't let the water get in my face. That's true.
Wow. Okay.
I had an ancestor remember my grandfather who fell in the well and drowned? That sticks with me, brother. That kind of thing haunts you. But I don't really vacation. Now, my favorite thing in the world now is spending time with my grandson, right? And so I can see, and I talk about this, I'm going to work my backside off for a couple of years, and then I'm going to retire and just be a manny. But that'll happen about the time where I start to get on his nerves.
Yeah.
He'll be up like, Mom, guys, Grandpa coming over again? Can't that old bastard find something? Can he go camping with Billy? So to me, that sounds like, a relaxing cut, because I've always worked my butt off, and I always go. I never take a day off. If I take a day off, it just bothers me tremendously.
I feel guilty. If I'm at home and I have nothing to do, I will find something to do. because I want to be productive.
Yeah.
I like
well, Melissa and Sierra, they're always like, well, just come sit and watch TV. And I'm like, why would I do that? I've got there are houses out there that I can deal with.
So much more that needs to be done. Like a friend of mine called me the other day. He said, I hadn't talked to him in a while. He said, let me give you some advice. He said, do not retire.
Yeah.
He said, there's only so many Prices Rights you can watch. He said, that's driving me crazy. And I think it's the same thing. It's like, if I retired, what would I do?
Exactly.
I can keep doing what I'm doing now and get paid for it.
Right.
Why do something? Why quit this and then go do volunteer work?
Yeah.
When I'm still getting paid, man, and I can still, I'm still upright.
Yeah.
I can still walk fairly healthy for my age.
For your age, see, there's that thing again.
I know.
For your age, you look good for your age.
Thank you. You do too.
Here's one thing that really, because I go to the gym a lot, right? And I was, I don't remember what I was doing one time. I was exercising, and this hot young thing comes by. Yeah. And I'm not talking about a Pop-Tart. Yeah. And she looks at me, and she goes, "Wow, you're here all the time, aren't you?" And I'm like, "Yeah. This is my it's actually my relaxation. That's when I go to the gym." And she goes, "Well, how old are you?" And this was a couple of years. And I'm like, "Well, I'm 58." And that, 2 years ago. And she goes, "Well, good for you that you're still coming to the gym." And I'm like, "You get away from me." You know what I mean? She was like, "So good that you're still coming to," and she patted my arm.
Oh.
She wasn't coming on to me, Billy. She patted my arm.
Yeah.
Good for you. Good for you. You're still coming to the gym, you old bastard.
So proud of you.
And that was 2 years. Nowadays, I go to the gym. I don't talk to anybody. I just, I'm one step away from going to walk at the mall if it opens back up. But yeah, so yeah, happy birthday to me.
Happy birthday to you. We'll have to
happy 60.
We will do something for your birthday next week.
Yeah, we'll get you something soft to eat, old timer.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was my weekend. So how was your weekend?
Weekend was good. Had a really nice weekend. Didn't really do much or nothing.
No,
it's
kind of relaxing.
That's the kind of weekends I enjoy. It's like when you don't have anything planned and things just come to you. Now when I remember this, when I was a kid, the reason I feel that way, when I was a kid, before my sister was born, my mom and my dad and myself, on a Sunday afternoon, we'd get in the car
and just ride
with nowhere to go.
Yeah,
and just
I remember
ride,
that. Yeah,
and just ride. We'd wind up in Tennessee, or we'd go up, around here, and we'd always wind up at my grandmother's house, but who lived in New Market. But
I'm gonna strap that hand down.
I'm sorry.
Hey,
yeah. But anyway,
you're overriding the technology.
I'm sorry, I can't help it. But anyway,
so you get in the car. I remember that going for a Sunday drive.
Yeah, go for a Sunday drive, and because of that, I love doing that. I love getting. In the car.
You really still doing it?
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't get the chance to very often, but I like doing that. Just go out, ride out in the country, or just go somewhere. I just like to ride.
When I was growing up, we had a Ford Country Squire station wagon. The one with the faux wood grain on the side.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And this one, you let down the tailgate, and it had like a bench seat there.
Yeah.
But it faced backwards.
Okay.
So you could never see where you were going. But you could always see where you've been.
Yeah, I got you.
And I was always the one who sat in that back seat. And we would do the same thing. Because back then there was nothing to do.
Right.
So you get in the car, and we'd go for these Sunday drives, and I'm just looking at the people behind us. And they're probably thinking, "Oh, look, they hate that little boy."
We had a 64 Ford Fairlane station wagon.
Yeah,
same thing. Seat facing. You could watch the people in the back.
Yeah,
behind you.
Yeah,
and we'd sit there and make faces, and we'd do puppets and all kinds of stuff. Just really messing with them. Yeah,
kids don't know how good they got it.
No, they don't.
That was back when cars didn't have seat belts or. There were no child seats or anything. They would just literally pile the kids in the car and go for a drive with nowhere to go.
Exactly. We were talking about this last week about how far back can you remember? Sorry, how far back you can remember.
Yeah.
Remember that we were talking about that. I'm going to confess something.
Uh-oh.
That I've never told anybody.
All right.
None of my wives.
Nobody.
My parents. Yeah. Nobody knows this. So you're hearing it first.
All right.
Here
we go.
This is the honest to God's truth. I've never told anybody this. When I was about 3 or 4 years old, my buddy Pam lived next door to us. Not the cleaning lady, but another Pam.
Okay.
I had a lot of Pams in my life. Pam lived next door. She was my buddy. And so I went over to Pam's house, and she wasn't home. So I was just kind of like hanging out on their front porch, just kind of hanging out, just waiting to go back home. And I looked down at the sidewalk, and there was a snail on the sidewalk.
Yeah.
And I don't know what inspired me to do this. Nobody was around, no traffic, nothing. I don't know what inspired me to do this, but I reached down and I touched it with my tongue. I don't know why I did it, but I thought I had committed the ultimate sin.
And were you happy about it?
No. I mean, I was just like,
It's like escargot, right?
I guess. And so I went home and I was going, what do I do? What do I do? And I thought, if I don't mention it, this is 3 years old.
Yeah, it's just between you and Jesus.
Snail.
Yeah, the snail.
Yeah. I think the snail liked it.
Yeah.
But to this day, I've never, ever, and when my wife sees this, she's like, why didn't you tell me that? We share everything. I was like, well, I don't know.
Well, the question is, why are you telling us that?
I don't know.
I'm not sure how we got on that subject right there, actually.
We were talking about old stuff and stuff we used to do when we were
younger. When we were kids, we all did things.
Don't tell nobody I told you that.
We all did things we shouldn't have done. I never licked a snail.
I didn't lick him. I didn't lick him. I just put my tongue on.
Okay, that's different then.
It's different.
I don't know what to say, but we all do silly. You were telling me the other day about sneaking into concerts.
You want to talk about that?
Yeah, because we've opened up the snail. We've opened up Pandora's box. Tell about that.
Okay, well,
because I have never snuck into a concert. I've snuck into movies, but never a concert.
A buddy of mine and I snuck into a band's rehearsal.
Oh, okay.
Me and my buddy Alan. One summer we worked.
Who dated Pam?
Dated Pam, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Me and my buddy Alan worked at the ice plant one summer. Okay. And so these guys were coming down and getting dry ice from us. Well, about the third day, we're like, what's going on? And we asked him, about that, and he said that Kansas was in town.
Oh.
The band Kansas.
Yeah.
And they were preparing for their tour. Well, they were staying in Huntsville for a week to get ready, do their show and everything. And they were practicing at the Civic Center. And Alan and I looked at each other and said, we're going to go. We're going to get in there somehow. And so we go down. We drive that night, and we could hear them play it, inside. And so we just, like, somebody's going to come to the door,
Did you knock on like a back door?
Yeah, kind of. And so anyway, somebody opened the door. And they said, yes. And I said, hey, my name's Billy, and this is Alan. We're with the ice company. And he goes, yeah, what can I do for you? I said, well, y'all have been coming down and getting ice, for your rehearsals. And he said, yeah. I said, well, I just wanted to let you know that we still have some.
You giving this some thought.
Yeah. And so, he goes, hold that thought. He goes, come with me. So we go in. We're like, oh, my God. So he takes us in this back room, and Robbie Steinhardt is sitting there, if you know who he is. He's the violin player of the band. And he's just sitting there, just hanging out. And then he brought somebody in. He goes, go get John. So he comes in. He goes, tell him what you just told me. I said, well, we're Billy and Talon from the ice company, and y'all have been coming down to get ice. Mm-hmm. He goes, yeah.
Why are you here?
You know, we still have some. And he goes, thank you so much for letting me know that, because we were kind of worried. Okay. I said, well, listen, since we're in here, do you mind if we kind of watch what's going on? If we kind of watch the show a little bit? No, go ahead.
Oh, how funny.
So we go in the arena, and so the band's on stage. Nobody's in there. There's like two guys over here, two guys over here, two guys over here, and us.
Yeah.
And so they were getting ready to start playing, start working on their music, and the guys started walking around the arena. Who you with? Budweiser. Who you with? Pepsi. Who you with?
The ice company.
The ice company. Okay.
You're good.
You're good. Yeah. And we watched them do their whole show.
Wow.
In an empty arena. They'd in there.
Yeah.
It's just really Neat. And Alan, if you're out there, I love you, brother, and I know you remember that.
The things you do, but that was pretty creative right there.
That was on the spot.
We're with the ice company.
We're with the ice.
I'm Billy. You got your name on your shirt,
Billy. I keep forgetting, so they put it on my shirt.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, man. That's a true story. True story. That was in 78.
Yeah.
78, I think. Yeah.
I never snuck into concerts. We used to do that in movies. Remember when, I don't remember which one it was, but there was the first multiplex that came here that had more than one theater.
Yeah.
Remember? Mm-hmm. Because before that, you had the Alabama Theater, which was just one screen, which eventually became the Comedy Club.
Right.
But which one? I don't remember which one it was that came, but they had like 8 theaters. And so we would go in on like a Saturday morning or a Friday night. We'd buy a ticket to see one movie. And before we left, we'd see every movie in that place. Don't
you think they would have caught on to that?
We were criminals, man. I mean, it was, yeah. You would think, because we were there for like 8 hours, but it was all high school kids. They didn't care.
Yeah, I guess not.
But yeah, I mean,
You'd watch the movie, then you go.
Yeah, we go. Okay, we're gonna go buy some popcorn, and then we just go. I mean, it was easy to do.
Yeah, it was.
You missed little snippets of the movie because they weren't timed exact. But yeah, that was my misspent youth, was going into movie theaters.
What do you remember? What's probably the first movie you saw at a theater? Can you remember?
I can, and it goes back to a story about my old man.
Again,
yeah. We were, dirt poor. We never did. I didn't have a fast food hamburger, honestly, until I was in my teens. So the very first movie we went to see was Billy Jack.
Ooh.
You remember Billy Jack? Tom Laughlin? Worst actor in the world.
Worst movie in the world.
I know, but man, so my old man, I don't know why, but the whole family went. Me, my dad, my mom, my older sister, my brother. 5 of us go to this movie. So
now, was it a drive-in or
no? It was at the Athens Theater.
Okay.
The reason I remember it so clearly is there is a scene in this. If you didn't see Billy Jack, it was about this guy who fights this biker gang, and it was. I go back. I watched it a few weeks ago. It's just a comedy.
I haven't said Billy Jack in 30 years.
Billy Jack.
Billy Jack.
I'm going to take this foot, my right foot, and put it on the left side of your head. Well, I'd like to see that. Woo! That was it. But there's a scene in there where these motorcycle guys, they get this girl, and she takes her top off. First time I'd ever seen boobs.
Wow.
On the big screen. My dad, who was not religious by any stretch of the imagination, he stands up and goes, "Y'all don't need to see this," and makes us leave the theater.
Wow.
And so I'm like, I don't want to go, Daddy.
Wait a minute.
Daddy, don't you walk so fast.
You didn't mention this part.
But that was the very first, I think that was the very first movie that I went to see. It was Billy Jack. I saw about 23 minutes of it. I saw boobs. I left happy.
That was it for
I left
Billy Jack.
happy, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And I did not go back to the movies for years because we just didn't get to do anything like that. What about you?
Well, I remember in 1964, my dad hated the Beatles.
Really?
Yes, couldn't stand them. Anyway, so my dad takes me and my friend, a buddy of mine.
Was this Pam or?
No, it wasn't Pam.
You had a lot of friends. I bet that snail wanted to be your friend.
He did. I named him. But
Licky.
Yeah, but I wanted to go see A Hard Day's Night. Everybody's going to go see A Hard Day's Night. I wanted to go see A Hard Day's Night. My dad took me to see A Hard Day's Night in the rain at a drive-in.
That's a good dad.
Well, he didn't want to be there.
Yeah, but he took you.
And he would start the car, then he'd turn the car off. You'd see the screen for about 10 seconds. It's just pouring down rain. I was like, Dad, turn on the windshield wipers. Well, that means I have to start the engine, son. Gas ain't free. And he was fussing, and I took a friend of mine, and he didn't care less. He didn't know who the Beatles were.
Yeah.
And so that was my experience with A Hard Day's Night. But I'll always remember that. There's always times like that in your life that you'll always... Hard Day's Night, licking a snail.
The stuff you remember.
Remember.
Yeah, but what's I think this is pretty good. The dads that you and I grew up with, good, bad, or indifferent, or upset had a tremendous bearing on the dads we became.
I think so.
Because everything I learned from my old man was to do the opposite of everything he did.
Right.
So I mean, you're looking at the only man to go to the debut of the Spice Girls movie here, because Chelsea wanted to go.
Yeah.
And so I'm literally in a theater with 500 little girls and then me, and they're like the old pedophile. I mean, and I'm like, oh, the crap I do for my kids. And then the movie started.
Yeah.
That Sporty Spice. For my age, she was pretty sporty.
Was pretty attractive.
Yeah. But we do stuff like that for our kids. I wouldn't blink. You know what I mean?
Well, we took it's Jake. We took Jake to see the Power Ranger movie.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
Did you see that?
Hell yeah.
And so it was like the Power Ranger movie, and it was just, we were all into Power Rangers anyway. And I remember
I can see that.
Yeah. And when they introduced the White Ranger, he came in a white suit, and it was just, everybody was talking about it. Who's going to be the White Ranger? Who's going to be the White Ranger? Because everybody wore pink and black and, green. So, sorry.
You're good.
And but anyway, it was just like a guy's soap opera. It was really a cool show. And anyway, then they had a lady and all of a sudden appear in the movie about halfway through in a very what's the word I'm looking for? Skimpy outfit.
Tight?
Yeah, skimpy outfit. And I said, that's for the dads. That's for the dads right there.
Yeah.
And I told my wife, I said, that's for the dads right there.
I sat here this whole time just to see that, right?
And at the end of the movie, Donna cried. So it was like, I was teasing her. Why are you crying? So we always make fun of her crying at the end of the Power Ranger movie.
That's hilarious. That's funny.
Yeah.
All right, man. Well, what else we got? We got a couple of minutes left. We've covered old age, horrible things we did in our youth. Any final thoughts?
You like mayonnaise?
I do like mayonnaise. I'm a little bigger fan of Miracle Whip.
Ooh, no,
it's an acquired taste.
No, that's cheating. Mayonnaise. I eat mayonnaise on a lot of things, and I was thinking about that. I like
mayonnaise
because I stopped on the way here. I was going to get you one. I stopped at Chick-fil-A and I got a chicken biscuit.
Yeah,
and I eat it with mayonnaise.
Oh,
and I started thinking of all the stuff that I like with mayonnaise. And the people at work tease me because I like peanut butter, jelly, and mayonnaise sandwiches.
Okay, that's gross.
No, it's not.
But you licked a snail. You have no taste whatsoever.
Apparently not.
Yeah.
Peanut butter, jelly, and mayonnaise is one of the best sandwiches you'll ever eat.
Have you ever had a peanut butter and bologna sandwich?
No.
That's an unusual taste.
Have you ever had a peanut butter and banana sandwich?
Yes.
My mother used to mix it up like a paste.
Yeah.
And then spread it on bread.
That's what Elvis was, a peanut butter and banana sandwich.
I know,
that was his.
I don't think he mushed it up though.
Probably not.
Probably not.
I don't know. But
he had people that did that.
Yeah, but I like mayonnaise and cornbread. Try that. That's good.
I bet that is good.
Oh yeah, especially if you got some pinto beans.
Have you ever had mayonnaise and Fritos?
No. Can't say that I have.
Dip a Frito in mayonnaise and see what it'll do to you.
Do you realize when we lived together in Decatur, we basically lived off crackers and mayonnaise and alcohol. That was our staple.
Yeah.
What goes around.
Well, yeah, I guess.
I can say, speaking of getting old, we'll be 80, and the kids will come over and go, you got anything? And they'll open up the cabinet, and there'll be crackers and mayonnaise. The circle of life, man.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
All right, guys. Well, this is always fun. We hope you're enjoying it. Drop us some comments below. Let us know how old you are and how you're holding up, and have you ever licked a snail or snuck into a concert?
Exactly.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time.
All right, bye. Stay safe.
Yep.